Okay, so guys, Hibernate is something called as like ORM tool. Okay, so let us understand. So this will be your scenario two. Okay, so where something called as like frameworks comes to a picture. So for like scenario one will be related to our JDBC API, we can say. And scenario two, okay, so where by using the frame we are going to perform some operation. This will be related to an Hibernate framework. Okay, so we have something called as an Hibernate framework. By using this, we can also perform the operation. Okay, so the same. So now let us understand what is this Hibernate framework. Okay, so why we need to learn this, right? So Hibernate is a framework. Okay, so which like Hibernate is an ORM framework. Okay, so here now first we need to understand that what is this ORM. Okay, so but guys, just in simple words, Hibernate is a framework which helps us to interact with the RDBMS applications. Okay, so some set of it will provide some set of methods. Just we need to make use of those methods and we can perform whatever the operation we want. Like the CRUD operation, basic CRUD operation, we can perform. Create means insert operation, to insert the user information into RDBMS application, and to read. Okay, so to read also. So based on the ID, it will help us to read the information from the RDBMS application, update, delete. It provides some set of methods. By using those methods, we can also perform the basic CRUD operation. It will be easy. Okay, so we'll see. So now let us understand what is this ORM. So ORM stands for Object Relational Mapping. Okay, so here ORM stands for, okay, so guys, ORM stands for Object Relational Mapping. Now, okay, so object relational mapping. So the what is the thing? Okay, so guys, now if I want to store any information with respect to Java, what is the purpose I am going to use, or what I am going to perform? Just again, I will do. Okay, so I'm going to declare a class. Like assume that I need to gather the user information, like his name, email ID, okay, and password, and is some personal details also I will be gathering. So to store all this information, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to do, or I'm going to create a simple user class, and inside that I will be declaring the fields, what are the information I need to gather. So after declaring that, okay, so I will go for using the I will go for this, create a simple Java bean class, and then whenever I need to save the user information with respect to Java, I will be creating an object called user object. Okay, and inside this user object I will be yeah, so inside this user object I will be storing the user information like his name, mail ID, phone number, password, whatever whatever, what are the information I require, right? So similarly, with respect to, okay, so in Java what we are going to do is just simply we are going to create an object, right? So we will be having some object, and in this object we are going to create we are going to store the user name. Okay, so the name I will be storing, okay, so like Dinga. Assume, so the name given, so the user name is Dinga, that will be stored. Okay, then email of the user, so that is like again Dinga at the rate abc dot in, fine. And then his contact number maybe, okay, so number, some random number I am giving. Okay, so then is pass, okay, so password. So just I will declare the variable name as pass, so which stores the password. Assume okay, so Dinga is going to give a password as like Dinga, right? 123 is the password. Okay, which given by the Dinga. Fine. Okay, so assume so these are the information I need to store in the Java. Like I need to collect from the user and like I can make use of whenever I need. So then what I'm going to do is, with respect to Java, I'm going to create a object called like of type user. Before that I will be declaring a class. Inside that class I will be declaring the attributes like name, email, phone number, and password. Yes or no, guys? Cool. Now tell me, like with respect to RDBMS application, how I can store this information. With respect to RDBMS application, how I can store these information. Yeah. So with respect to RDBMS application, Srinivas, if Hibernate is not a part of Java, then do you think that I will be explaining this Hibernate today? Is that okay, guys? With respect to RDMS application, how I need to store. Okay, so assume okay, I will be having the RDMS application only. Then what I'm going to do is just I can store this information in a form of a table. Okay, so in a form of a table, I'm going to create a database. Inside the database, I'm going to create a table. Okay, so I'm going to create a database, and inside the database, I will be having a table, and inside that table, okay, so inside the table, the user information can be stored in a form of a rows and columns. Okay, so how I can store with respect to RDBMS application like this. Okay, so I will be having a table. Assume that okay, so this is the table I will be having. Okay, so I'm going to have a table, and then inside this table, okay, so to store name I will be having a column, first column. Okay, so where I can store the username, and I will be having the second column to store the email ID. Okay, so then I will be having one more column to store the password, sorry, phone number. Okay, and then I will be having the column to store the password. Okay, so what I'm yeah, so first column is used to store name. Second column is used to store the email ID. Third column, I can go for storing the phone number. And fourth column, I can go for storing the password. Okay, so password. So I will declare a table. So assume that, okay, so I'm going to declare the table as okay, so table name as user, and inside this user table I will be storing the user like dinga's information. Like in the name column I'm going to store the name as dinga, and in the email column, so whatever the dinga's email id is there, okay, so dinga at abc dot in. I'm going to store this email id of dinga to in his column, okay. So assume, so it will be present inside this is column. And now after that, the phone number, okay, so whatever the phone number is there dingas, so I'm going to store in the phone number column, 7353425, okay. So assume that I will be storing the dinga's phone number here in the phone column. And then we need to store the password. So whatever the password, dinga's password is there, like dinga and at the rate 123, I'll be storing inside a password column. Now, tell me, okay, so whether our JDBC API will helps us to take these Java objects, okay, so what are the Java object we have created here? It will take this Java object and directly store inside the table in a form of a row. No, right? So we need to write the query, we need to sit and declare the method, okay. So yeah, so we can go for declaring a method which takes the user object, and but inside that object, okay, so we need to sit and write the query to set or inject the user information inside that SQL queries, and then we need to pass that SQL query to the RDBMS application so that it will helps us to it will also to store the user information, right? So now ORM tool are such tools which takes the information in the form of an object, and directly they will go to the RDBMS application. Okay, so directly they will go to the RDBMS application and map those information to a particular tables. Okay, so in this scenario, so what Hibernate or any ORM tools, okay, so in the market, like we have n number of ORM tools we have, but with respect to Java, okay, so we will be learning with this Hibernate. So now Hibernate basically it is a framework, guys. Okay, so basically it is a framework. It was designed, developed, and designed based on the Java programming language only. So inside that we have all the Java methods only. Okay, so what are the methods are declared? They are using by Java only. They have declared the methods. So that is the reason they can communicate with the our Java programs. Fine. So now, what ORM tools are going to do? Okay, so they are going to take this object. Okay, so whatever the Java object we will be having, they are going to take this Java object, and then they are going to map this Java object to particular table. Okay, so they inside our database we will be having a database will be there. So inside that tables will be there. Okay, so inside that tables they are going to directly inject. That means whatever the JDBC operation we have done, right? So whatever the JDBC operation we have done, the same operation here also they are going to do. So what the developer is going to do is just he will create an object and he will pass that object to a particular method. Okay, so of that the method which the method or yeah, so the method which is given by the Hibernate framework. Okay, so inside this they will be written. Okay, so some of the people, okay, so they are going to sit and write the queries or the implementation. They provided an implementation in such a way that to the database they are going to they are going inside the database and checking, okay, so whether user has declared a table based on this or not. And then they are going to insert or inject these values to the queries, and then they are going to insert the values to the RDBMS application. The same operation they are going to do. So here what is the help of using Hibernate? Okay, so here in the if we are going to make use of this Hibernate, then we need to worry about the business logic, not about the SQL queries. Just we need to know. So okay, so what is the business logic we need to write? What is the Java program? Basically, like what is the Java program? what is a Java program I need to, as a developer, I need to write. No need to worry with the interaction between the RDMS application. To interact with the RDMS application, we have Hibernate tool. Okay, so which helps us to interact with the RDMS application. So that is the one advantages. So what is the advantages of using Hibernate over JDBC? In JDBC, we need to think about, or we need to worry about writing the query as well as business logic. But if we are using this Hibernate, then no need to worry about writing the query. Okay, so no need to worry about writing the query. The queries will be written by the Hibernate tool. Just we need to worry about the business logic layer. What is the business logic for our project is required. Just we need to understand that. Is that clear, guys? Do you have any doubts in this ORM tool, or do you have any doubts in the ORM tool, guys? Prince, I didn't get, like, still is it use means which one, JDBC or Hibernate? You're asking. Yeah, so Hibernate is in still use. Fine. Now let us understand how to deal with this Hibernate tool. Okay. So now understand. Let us understand how to deal with this Hibernate tool. Before going to that, I want you to tell me. Anyone can turn on your mic and tell me what is Java Bean class.
Sir,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Java being class means it is a good example for encapsulation, sir.
Hmm.
It is declaring data members as private,
Okay.
providing public parameterized constructor,
Okay.
providing public getter and setter methods, sir.
Okay. Then that's all.
Ah, yes, sir.
Yeah, Prema Krishna, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, sir. Many objects into a single object, sir. That is called Java Bean class, like
May, can you repeat your definition?
many objects into a single object, sir. It's like a encapsulation. It is called Java Bean.
Who taught you Java? Who is the Java trainer for you?
Yeah, Karthik sir.
Okay, fine. Give me a sec. Okay, so guys, the definition of Java bean class is nothing but you can say Java bean encapsulate many object into a single object. That is not the definition, sir. Java bean classes are a classes which will be having the data members as private. Okay, so we'll be having all the properties as private, and we need to have one no argument constructor or a default constructor must be present inside that class, and then this class must provide implementation for something called as like serializable interface. Okay, and this class must have getters and setters which helps us to interact with these private properties. So that thing, okay, so these are the things has to be present in the your Java bean class. So all the properties or all the data members must be private, and will be having a helper methods like getters and setters method by using which we can perform operation on that data private data members. Then the third one, we need to have at least one no argument constructor or a default constructor must be present. And the fourth one is that we need to provide, okay, so if a class is called as Java bean class, then this class must provide an implementation for serializable interface. So here, so the serializable interface is a marker interface. Clear? So these are the points which belongs to Java bean class. Any doubts, guys? Yeah, it must have a no argument constructor. Or it can have also argument constructor, not an issue, but no argument constructor must be present. Fine. So if you want to deal with this Hibernate, okay, so now if I want to work with this Hibernate, we need to have an idea about something called as Pojo class. Okay, so we have something called as Pojo class. Okay, so we have something called as Pojo class. Pojo is nothing but like Pojo classes. Okay, so which stands for plain old Java object. Okay, so Pojo stands for plain old Java object, guys. Guys, do you have any idea about these Pojo classes? No one. Okay, guys, Pojo class is nothing but, so a class must be a non-abstract. Okay, so I need to declare a class that must be a non-abstract, and class must be public. Okay, so a class we need to declare a public class. Okay, and inside that class, so we need to have one no argument constructor. It may be a default constructor, or it may or a no argument constructor must be present inside that class, And coming to this data members or a variables, okay, so we can declare variables with any any access modifier. Okay, I can go for declaring a sorry, I can go for declaring the variable as a private. I can go for declare variable as a public. I can go for declare variable as a default also, not an issue. So we can declare any like variable. We can use any access modifier and declare the variable, but the class must be public and non-abstract class. Okay, and this class will not provide any implementation, or this class will not go for extending any super classes. Okay, so this class must not have any super classes or super interfaces. That means this class will not provide any easy relationship with any other classes. This can be used, okay, but this class cannot be used, cannot be make or go for making provide implementation for any interfaces or extends any classes. Okay, and yeah, so these are the things which we can say. Okay, yeah, and one more is like getters and setters must be present inside this class. By using that getters and setters only, we need to perform, or we need to use these helper methods and inject the values. So what is Pojo class? Plain old Java class. Okay, so a class, the first point, a class must be public, public and non-abstract abstract class. Okay, so it must be a public and non-abstract class. Then the second one, uh, variable data members. Okay, so data members can use any access specifiers, and so can use any access specifiers. Third point, it must have no argument or a default constructor. Okay. Then the fourth point, it will not have any super classes, or will not provide. So it will not provide implementation for any interfaces. Okay, and then we okay. So the fifth point is that uh, so it will have the helper methods such that like getters and setters. Okay, so getters and setters must be present. So by using this Pujo class concept, okay, so we will be working with the Hibernate, guys. Guys, do you have any doubts in the Pujo class? Yes or no? Fine. Okay. Now, let us look into the JDBC, sorry, Hibernate. Okay. So, guys, today I'm just tell you. Okay. So, what are the things like I will not go in detail. Okay. So, just I will show you how to deal or how to work with the Hibernate. Okay. So, meantime, I will explain some concept. Okay. So, tomorrow we will go for in detail. Okay. So, what about the things like what are the concepts are there? We will see in detail. Just today to know how to deal or how this Hibernate helps us to interact with the RDMS application, we will write a simple program and we will see. So I'm going to share my Eclipse. Fine. So now what I'm going to do is just I will create a simple project, a Maven project. I'm going to create new. Come on, new. Okay, so Maven project. I'll be creating a simple Maven project, guys. Okay, so select this Maven, and next, come on. Okay, so a sample project. I will be creating a sample project. Just click on this, create a sample project. No need to go for that web application and web app and all. Just we will go for creating a sample project to deal with this Hibernate. Okay, click select on this and click next. So it is asking group ID. I will give the group ID as edu.jsp. Okay, and it is asking me artifact ID. Okay, so I'm going to write the artifact ID is my first Hibernate app. Okay, so I'm going to give the artifact ID is my first Hibernate app. Okay, or yeah, so let it be as it is. Okay, then I will click finish. So once you click finish, you can see here. Okay, so automatically it is creating. Okay, so it is creating a Maven project. So wait until unless this will be completed. Clear? So now the Maven project has been created successfully. Now I will see. Okay, so what are the things has been added here? So in my first Hibernate app, okay, so I got this structure and all. Okay, but I'm not getting the version 1.8. Okay, so it is giving like Java to standard edition 1.5. Let us change to 1.8. I will right click on this project, go to the property, click on Java resource and all. Click on this Java build path. Okay, so select this JRE as well as Maven and click apply. So and then go for apply and close. So automatically you will be receiving that project structure. Okay, then I said I need to change this to 1.8. What I'm going to do is just I will go to project facts, click on this convert to facts form. So here is 17 version is there. So just I will change to 1.8 and then I will go for apply and close. That's all. So once that is done, you just go right click on this and go for Maven update, force update, click OK. Again, it went back. I think like okay. So once again, I will check. No, okay. So we will change that one. Okay, now as we are using this Maven project, okay. So what we can do is okay. So instead of adding the jar files, we can add the form.xml sorry dependencies. Okay, to add the dependencies I will be going to create a simple dependency tag. I'm going to declare a dependencies. Okay, so inside this whatever the dependency I want I will be adding guys. Okay, now the first one like as we are interacting with the rdbms. Okay, so we are interacting with mysql database, right? So then we need to have that mysql driver. Yes or no, guys? We need to have that MySQL driver. So, Okay, so what I'm going to do is I will share my entire screen, guys. I'll share the entire screen. One sec. Okay, so you can see, repeat the process. Which property, ra? Form creating. Which form we are creating here? Yeah. Right click on the project, click on the property, project facts. So it will give an option like convert the project forms. Click on that and select the version as 1.8. Apply and close. That's all. That's what I was done in the previous, like in that. That's all. Okay, so now we need to add the dependency. Like, what are the dependency we need to add? So one is like we are interacting with our MySQL database. So we need to add come on, yeah. So we need to add this MySQL connector dependency to my project. So for that, what I'm going to do is just I will go for the browser. Okay, so just I will go for the browser and I will open Maven repository. I will give a request for Maven repository and I will search for that Maven repository. Okay, so here you can see I got a link like mavenrepository.com. Just I will get inside this. So here you can see some the jar files or things, the concepts are there. So in that we want from the MySQL. So we want the MySQL driver. Just search in the search bar. Just type as MySQL and give a search. Okay, so here you can see MySQL connector. Okay, so we can see this MySQL connector complete. Yeah. So select for this, and the most users are using like 3.1 only. So I will go with the same thing. Okay, or else like yeah. So I will go with the same thing 8.0.31 and select these dependencies. Come back to your Eclipse and add the dependencies to your Eclipse. That's all. And go for save. Perform the save operation. I just added the MySQL dependencies. You can see here. Okay. Now, as we are dealing with the Hibernate, okay. So as we are dealing with the Hibernate, so we need to add our okay. So we need to add that Hibernate dependency also. Okay. So Hibernate is not a like it is not inside our JDK. Okay. So Hibernate is a framework. Basically, it is a framework. So the people who has designed this framework, they also provide us a jar file. So we need to gather. Okay, so they also provide multiple jar files. We need to gather. We need to collect the jar files and we need to add for our project, and then we can perform the operation. Now, as we are using this Maven project, so just we need to add the dependencies. Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do is just in the Maven repository in the search bar, just type as Hibernate, or else like you can go with Hibernate core. Just give a search for Hibernate core, guys, and search. So if you search this, okay, so this is the pages. Okay, so here you can see Hibernate core relocation. There is something called as like Hibernate core relocation. Select this. Okay, so in this I will go with the version. One sec. Yeah, so I can go with the version like 5.6.1. I will go with the version like 5.6.14. That is the most users are using. Okay, or else we can also go with the 10 also. I'll go with 5.6.14. Okay, so this is the link. You can also make use of this and copy the dependencies. I will be sharing that link in the broadcast. Okay, so just I will copy this dependency, Maven dependency, and add this Maven dependency to my project. And then I will go for perform the save. Save. Just click on Control S. Done. Okay, so dependencies I will better to share you. And okay, so guys, this is the link you can use and paste all the whatever the dependencies I added to my project. You can also add the same dependencies to simultaneously. Fine, cool. Where I was. Okay, so these are the only two dependencies I will be adding. Okay, so as I'm dealing with the Hibernate, I will be the Hibernate core dependencies, and I need to interact with the RDBMS like MySQL database. So here, no need a Java Servlet API dependency. No need. Where do I have that one? Fine. Okay. So just add this connector and Hibernate core. Okay. Yeah. So that's all. Just save. Just right click on the click project, Maven. Okay. So right click on the project, select a option called Maven. Then you can see update project and just click on the force update and go for click OK. Fine. So that's all, guys. I hope everyone are added the dependencies. Any issues? Fine. So now I said okay. So to interact with the Hibernate, I need to have a what? Sorry, I need to have a Pujo class. Okay. So what I'm going to do is under this src main Java. Okay. So you can see a the folder something called like src main Java. I will right click on this new for package. The package name I am going to give it as edu.jsp.dto. Okay, so I'm going to declare data transform object in from this package. Okay, so I need to declare a class. So from this we can interact with the database. Okay, just I will click as finish, and so you can see I got a package. Right click on that package. So here inside that I'm going to create a class. The class name, what I'm going to give the class name. Okay, so initially let us go for taking the class name as user. Okay, I will one sec. User ಗೆ ಹೋಗೋಣ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವ್ದಕ್ಕಾರ ಹೋಗೋಣ ಗುರು. Okay, so instead of user, guys, I will just go with the student. Okay, so instead of user, I'll just go with the student. STUDT. I'll just declare a class as student Hibernate user. Okay, so I will just go with the student. Okay, so not an issue. Then click finish and make sure that this class is a public class. and non-abstract. Okay, and inside this class I'm going to declare the data member. Okay, so I said the data member can be a private, it can be a public, or it can be a protected, not an issue. So just I will go for declare a default data member with as id. Okay, so I'm going to declare integer of id. For student I'm going to declare an id. Then I will go for declare, I will use the protected data access modifier. Protected access modifier, and I'm going to declare a name. Okay, and I am going to declare one more variable like private again int, sorry, age of the student I will be gathering. Okay, so let us have this one, and then I will go for having a no argument constructor inside this student class. Okay, so I will go for generate a no argument constructor inside this class. Okay, so I will deselect this and generate it. Okay, so you can see I will be having a no argument constructor inside this class. Then I need to have a getters and setters. I will just select the getters and setters and I will generate that getters and setters. Okay, so you can see in this class I will be having a one is no argument constructor and getters and setters for all the properties. Okay, so I'll be having a getters and setters for all the properties. Fine. Okay, so I will be having getters and setters for all the properties. Then now I need to inform my Hibernate. Okay, so Hibernate, this is the class which will be having some table inside my RDBMS application. Okay, so this is the class for which, okay, so this is the class for which there will be some table, or else like I can inform him you can also go for create a table also. Okay, so this is the class for which inside my RDBMS application there will be some table, and so you need to interact. Okay, so whenever I am going to give the whenever I am going to give this student object, you need to insert particular table. Okay, so for that we have an annotation. Okay, so here in Hibernate it will provide an annotation, something called as at the rate entity. Okay, so at the rate entity from Java X dot persistence package. Okay, so the annotation we need to import from, or annotation we need to add to our Pojo class is from at the rate entity Java X dot persistence package. Okay, is no need to go for from org.hibernate. Also it will provide an entity called sorry, annotation called entity. No need to import that one. So you need to import from Java X dot persistence dot entity. I'm saying now have issues when you import from org.hibernate. So import from Java X dot persistence entity only. Okay. So yeah, now we are informing Hibernate. Okay, so there will be a student table, and this is the entity. So this is the class, or this is the object we are going to pass. So you need to inject that one. But Hibernate will say, okay, so whatever the your object or you are going to give, I will map to that particular table. But I will map if you have any primary key inside that table only. Else, I will not interact with the table. It will say. Okay, so that is a one rule which will be given from the Hibernate framework. So if I want to inject any object to a particular table in my RDBMS application, then inside that table you need to have one primary key. Okay, so in this scenario, so ID will be unique for the student. So I'm going to give the ID as a primary key in my uh, table, student table. Okay, so okay, so inside that I am giving that one. But okay, now so I need to inform. Okay, so this will be the primary key for that entity or for that Pojo class inside the table, or as to for that student table. Okay, so this field will be the primary key. To inform to my Hibernate, we have an annotation, something called as at the rate ID. Again, this is also from java.persistence. Okay, so we have an annotation, something called as @ID. Just make use of that @ID. It will inform. Okay, so whenever I'm going to make use of this @ID annotation, so it will say, okay, so this specifies the primary key of an entity design. Okay, so this specifies the primary key of an entity. The field or a property to which the ID annotation is applied should be one of the following type. Okay, so any Java primitive type it is saying, so not an issue. Okay, so any one of the type. Okay, like it may be a string, date, it will SQL date or big decimal, not an issue. Okay, so we can also have an integer type also. Fine. Okay, so now whenever I'm going to make use of an variable, sorry, an annotation called @ID, so my Hibernate will understand. Okay, so this field will be the primary key in this particular student table. For this student object, it will understand. Okay, so done. Now what I'm going to do is just I'm going to create one more class. Okay, so I'll be creating a one more class. Okay, so before that, I will create a one more package. Okay, so after this student DTO, I will create one more package under this SRC main Java. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just click on right click on that folder, new, and I need to create a package. The package name I will be giving as edu.jsp.bao. Okay, so here I'm going to write the data accessing operations. Okay, so whatever the to interact with the RDBMS application, what are the information or what are the thing I required or the implementation, I will be writing inside this DAO package. I'm going to declare a class with a name as student student DAO, and then just create a class. Okay, now inside this class, okay, so I will add the main method. Okay, so inside this class, I will add a main method. So now let us see how to go for perform the save operation to the student object into my RDBMS application. So what I'm going to do is first let me create a student object. Stub student student equal to new student. Come on. Okay, so new student, I'll be getting an object. Then I will use the helper methods to inject a value for that object. Okay, so first ID, I'm going to give the ID as 101. Fine. Then so student dot set name. I'm going to give the name as Dinga. Fine. Student dot set age. Okay, so I'm going to give the age as for Dingas, I will be giving the age as like 21. Now, student object is ready. Just I need to inform my Hibernate. Okay. So here I said Hibernate will provide some built-in methods to perform the CRUD operation. Okay. So to perform the CRUD operation, Hibernate have an interface, something called as entity manager. Okay. So this Hibernate will provide an interface, something called as entity manager. Inside this entity manager, there is a method, something called as persistence. Okay, so there is a method, something called as persistence. Okay, so I will show you. One side. So there is a class, something called as entity manager. Okay, so just declare it as null. Okay, and from inside this we have a method, something called as persistence. Okay, so we have a method persistence which accepts the entity object or a DDoS object. Okay, so it basically accepts a entity object. Okay, so now let us, I need to create an object for this entity manager interface. Okay, so basically it is an entity manager is an interface which provide some set of methods to perform the CRUD operation, guys. Now I need to create a object for this entity manager interface. Okay, so we basically we will be not having any idea that what is the implementation class that will be provided for this entity manager, but we will be having an idea. Okay, so what is the helper method? Okay, so what is the helper method which helps us to create an object for this entity manager? Just we need to invoke that. So this Hibernate people, they have provided an helper method, something called as like create entity manager from the entity manager factory interface. Again, this entity manager factory, uh, entity manager factory is also an interface. Okay, so instead of em, I will declare it as a manager. Instead of entity manager, yeah, so manager, let it be as manager. Okay, guys, you can see again this entity manager factory is also an interface. So here also we will be not having that. Okay, so here also like we need to create an object of this entity manager factory. Then on this reference variable factory, I can invoke a method, something called as create entity manager. Okay, so I can just invoke a method, something called as create entity manager. Now yeah, so now how to create an object for this fact entity manager factory? To create an object for this entity manager factory, we have a class, something called as persistence. Okay, so inside this persistence, we have a helper method create entity manager factory. Okay, so there is an helper method. So inside this persistence class, okay, so basically persistence is a class which helps us to create a object for this entity manager factory interface. Okay, so here, just have an idea that okay, so Hibernate will provide. Okay, so Hibernate will provide an interface, something called as entity manager, which helps us to perform basic CRUD operation with the RDBMS application, any RDBMS application. If I want to create a object for this entity manager, so I have a helper method in the entity manager factory. Okay, so I have a helper method in the entity manager factory. By using that, I can create an object for this. Again, this entity manager is an interface. Now I need to create an object for this entity manager. Then there is a class, something called as persistence. Inside this, there is an helper method called create entity manager factory, which helps us to create an object for this particular of type interface entity manager factory. And this will accept a name. Okay, so this entity manager factory is going to accept a persistence unit name in a form of a string. Okay, so what is this persistence unit? So we need to understand now what is this persistence unit. Before that, I will complete this implementation. Okay, so entity manager is done. Yeah, so I can invoke this method. Yeah, so here I need to create one more object. Okay, so that is like entity transaction. There is something called as an entity transaction. Okay, so there is something called as entity transaction. I will create a reference variable as transaction. Okay, so again, this entity transaction, you can see this is also an interface. If I want to create an object for this entity transaction interface, so there is something called as a manage. Okay, so on the manager, we have a method, something called as get transaction, which will help us to create an object for this or object of the type entity transaction. Now, so we will understand why we need to have this transaction. Okay, so this transaction is mainly used to uh, keep a record of whatever the operation we are going to perform. Okay, so there is inside this transaction, there is inside this entity manager transaction, there is a method, something called as begin, which starts a resource transaction. That means, so to interact with the RDMM's application. Okay, so after interaction with, and what is the operation we are going to perform? Okay, so the DML queries has to be committed once the operation has been done successfully, right? Yes or no, guys? Whatever the DML written is, yeah. So whatever the DML queries we are going to use, or some manipulation we are going to perform on the table, then we need to perform commit operation. Okay, so transaction is basically used for the commit operation only. Okay, so just we are beginning. Okay, so invoking the beginning method helps us to keep a track, or keep a record, or keep a track of whatever the operation we are going to perform with Hibernate. Okay, yeah. So then after beginning this transaction, I am performing this operation. So persistence, that is like saving the student object. Then I will go for commit. Okay, so whatever the transactions records are there, just I will go for commit by invoking a transaction dot commit method. So this is a simple code. Okay, so I will share this student. Yeah. So this is a simple ETO or entity we can say. Okay, so an entity class, for a Bodo class is this. Okay, so once that is done, DAO layer. Okay, so DAO row. Wait. Okay, so inside the DAO, student DAO, will keep. Okay, so import operation also I will copy and I will share you guys. Let's make sure that you will be having a package same as edu.jsp.dto and edu.jsp.dao. Then only this code will works perfectly. Fine. Now everything is done. Now let us understand this. Yeah, cursor sorry, one second. Okay. Okay, now let us understand. I said, okay, so this create entity manager factory will accept something called as persistence unit. So now let us understand what is this persistence unit. Before that, let us first create the persistence unit, and then we will understand what is this persistence unit. Okay, so so in every Hibernate project, we need to have this persistence unit, guys. Okay, so in every Hibernate project, we need to have this persistence unit, and this persistence unit will be placed. Okay, so this persistence unit will be placed inside this SRC main. Okay, so SRC main resource. Okay, so inside this, we need to inside SRC main resource. Inside this, we need to create a folder. Guys, everyone follow the same thing. Okay, so we need to create a folder, and the folder name must be, okay, so it is mandatory to use the folder name as meta hyphen inf. Okay, so meta minus symbol inf will be the folder name. Okay, so everyone must create a folder under the SRC as this. Okay, so this is the folder name. Fine. So this is the folder name everyone should create under this SRC folder, Java SRC main resource. Under this resource, everyone should create a folder with the name as meta inf. Then click finish. Fine. Got it? Yes or no? Done or not, guys? Completed not. One second on that. Okay. Guys, under this SRC main resource, right click. Okay, create folder. Folder name must be meta hyphen inf, and click finish. Okay, so here I'm not getting the option because already the folder with the name as same inf is there, so that is the reason I'm not creating that one. Okay, so it is already present. So inside this, we need to add our one file. Okay, so we need to add a one XML file inside this. Yeah, so we need to add a XML file under this meta inf. Okay, so what is that XML file? Come to the browser. Come. Okay, so here I will give a request for my GitHub git github.com and use forward slash. Okay, and just type as ma capital M small a hyphen, okay, again minus symbol noj. Okay, so just give a request for this URL. Okay, so if you give a request, so my Git repository will be opened. Okay, click on these repositories. One second, I will share the link. Okay, so here we will be having something called as a supporting file. So everyone can just get into my Git repository, and the repository name is supporting file. Okay, so you can use that link, and here also I will mention. Okay, so in this code in the okay, so what is this share code also I'm going to mention it. Okay, so get Git repository link. Okay. Okay, so inside this, there is something called as a persistence.xml file is there. Open that persistence.xml. Okay, so first copy this name. Whatever the name I have given, persistence.xml, spelling must be same, guys. Don't need to, no one should make a spelling mistake. So I'm giving the shortcut answer, shortcut only to create the persistent XML file or to create a persistent unit. I am giving a shortcut only. Just select persistence.xml. Okay, come back to your eclipse. Under this meta inf, come back to eclipse. Under this meta inf, right click, new. Okay, so go for file. Okay, so here we need to create a file, or else okay, close this. Right click, I'll show once again. Right click, new, click on other. Okay, and just give a search for xml. Give a search for xml, and then you can see there is a folder something called as xml. Under this, a file is there, xml file. Select that, click next. Okay, so select that, click next, and this file must be present under the meta inf folder, guys. The file path must be present under the meta inf. Now I need to give a file name. I will give the file name as persistence.xml. Click finish. So initially, like I hope like you guys will be having this view, or the dashboard will be like this. Click on under the down. Okay, so below down you can see a option something called as source. Click on that. Automatically this file will be open. Okay, where we can add tags or create the code. Everyone created their folder under resource as meta.nf, and the file name as persistence.xml. Done or not? Okay, now, so eh, okay, so inside this persistent.xml, what I'm going to do is just I will copy. Okay, so come to the GitHub, guys. Okay, so inside this GitHub, here you can see. So whatever the thing is present inside this persistent.xml, just make a copy of it. Just copy. Okay, I will right click, and I'm going to click on the copy, control C. Also, you can use. Done. Then come back to this unit. Okay, so clear this one and add whatever the thing which was present inside my GitHub repository. Copy it from the GitHub repository. Okay, so in this GitHub repository, so here from starting from line number 1 to line number 31, whatever the thing is there, just copy as it is and come to your Eclipse, add that code to the Eclipse, guys. Okay, so guys, here one second. Yes, so we have a persistence unit. Okay, so this is what we, so this persistence unit name, what is the persistence unit name I have? Okay, so here the persistence unit name is Manoj. So now I need to pass this persistence unit name in my DAO for the create entity manager factory method. Okay, so in the form of a string I need to pass. Fine. And here just I need to give, okay, so some of the details. Okay, so here you can see stars are there, right? So one is value JDBC MySQL localhost 333. Okay, what I'm going to do is just I will click on this square. Sorry, yeah. So I'm just click on this query. Okay, so I'll be having a tag, right? So just I will write the query as create database. Okay, so create database, and database name I'm going to give it as Hibernate underscore BASIC basic. Database name I'm going to give to perform the simple basic CRUD operation. The database name I have been given as Hibernate basic, and then I will run this query. Yeah, so once I run this query here in the down, you can see create a database Hibernate. Okay, so one row affected successfully. I'll just give a refresh. You can see I got a database with the name as Hibernate underscore basic. That's all. Just copy this database name. Okay, so what is the database you have created? So make sure that the name you're copying without any mistake. Okay, so spaces are not allowed. Okay, so just the name Hibernate underscore basic. That is the database I have created, right? Come back to your persistence unit. Okay, so what is the database name I have given? Hypernet underscore basic. This was the database name, right? I have given in my admin. HIBERNATE underscore basic. Yeah. So that is the database name I have given to my uh, okay, so inside that I have a database with the name as Hibernate underscore basic where I can perform some CRUD operation on the Hibernate. Okay. Now I have given the database. So this is the database Hibernate you need to interact. Okay, so just I'm informing my Hibernate. This is the database you need to interact with the RDBMS application. Once that is done, then in the second property tag, I need to mention the user name. Okay, so in this 4 stars has to be replaced with the username. So for my database, username is root. So I will be giving the username as root. And then I need to replace these 5 stars again with the password. Okay, so for my database, the password is root only. For the user root, the password is root. I will give the password. That's all. So this is what the configuration we need to make here. Any doubts, guys, here? So just we have given the database name and we have mentioned the username and we have specified the password for that particular user. Fine. Once that is done, I hope everyone are done with this one. Yes or no? Any doubts? Any issues? Fine. So I hope everyone done with this. Then I will go back to my student DAO. Okay. And I will. Okay. So yeah. So in this student DAO, the persistence unit is Manoj. Okay. Yeah. I will cross verify. Yeah. Persistent unit is Manoj. It is there. Then what I'm going to do is just right click on this class, run as run as Java application. Just I will run this, and you can see in my console some miracle will happen. Guys, did you notice what is the like one more advantages of using Hibernate? Yeah, so you can see there is a query. Okay, so create table student ID of type integer, not null, age of type integer, not null, name, varchar, primary key as ID. That so did I write this query anywhere? No, right? I didn't write any. I didn't. Okay, so I didn't write this query. So how this query was written? Very simple. Okay, so as we are okay, so mentioning entity annotation over a student class. Okay, so as we are mentioning entity annotation over a student class, my Hibernate will understand. Okay, so it is going to check into my database. Okay, but yeah, so it is going to check into my database whether we have a table with the name as student or not. Okay, so we have a table with the name as student or not. Okay, yeah, so one more thing. Yeah, so it is going to check whether we have a table with the student name or not. If there is a table in the RDBMS application, then it will not go for creating. Okay, so here you can see in my RDBMS application, I will just give a refresh. There is a table, student table has been created automatically. If I run the query like select star from Hibernate being student, you can see the Ringa's information, ID, age, and name already inserted to my table, right? I didn't write the insert query also. You can okay, so here you can see I didn't write the insert query, but I got that insert query here, right? So insert into student, what is the value, age, name, ID, values are what are the value I passed in the student object. So this is how Hibernate helps us to avoid writing the query. I said right, Hibernate will helps us to just focus on business logic, not on the SQL queries. So this is the reason. Automatically, Hibernate will take care of writing the query. Clear? Okay. So now you guys can do one thing. Guys, you guys can do one thing. Everyone just go for declare a class. Okay, so declare a class as teacher. Okay, so class as teacher. Okay, and create a field like ID for the teacher. Give a ID, name. Okay, so name and email ID and phone number. Phone number for that particular teacher. Declare a class as teacher. Just you need to go for declaring a class as teacher. ID, name, email, phone number. Oh, okay. So over this class declaration, use an annotation called entity. Okay, after that on the ID. Okay, so over this ID, use an annotation called as @ID and create one more DAO as teacher DAO. What are the implementation I have done here? Okay, so what are the implementation I have done here? That is like create a student object, create entity manager factory, pass the same unit name, persistence unit name must be same. Okay, so just pass this one similarly. Okay, pass this same, create these things, transaction dot begin, manager dot persist. Okay, entity manager dot persist. Instead of student, pass the teacher object and go for commit operation. Will you do that one? Okay, so complete that and come back to the show student.java program. Student.java program. Hey, that is code has been shared in the this one, right? You can make use of it. What are the code I have written that has been shared in that? Once again, show the file how to run and see the output on console. Okay, so in the student DAO, okay, so I'll just change the ID from 101 to 102 and I will give the name Dingy. Okay, so age of Dingy will be 19 year. Okay, so 19 year. Okay, so once that is done, you can just run this as a normal Java program. That's nothing. Okay, so just you need to run this student DAO class because like we are, you can see here we have a main method. Okay, so we have a main method. Just run this as a Java program, guys. That's all. Not a big issue to okay. Run it as a Java program. Yeah. So here you can see the table query was not generated. Why? Because already in my database table is there, right? No need to have the query run again. But insert query has been generated because the ID given is 102 name dingy. Let us check in the RDBMS whether we have the ID with a name 102 ID as 102, age as 19, name as dingy. Okay, so I'll run this select query. Yeah, I can see the information what I have passed. That's all. Hey, is this persistent.xml file is present in my GitHub, right? Just copy from here. Okay, so copy from here and in the property name javax.persistence.jdbc URL, instead of this star, you need to replace the star with the database name. And for user, give. Okay, so in this value, you need to give the username. And in this value, you need to pass the password. That's all. That is the changes we need to do. Okay, Karthik, I'll tell you. Okay, so if that is the issue, okay, maybe you have created the folder in different like folder has been not created properly, and file name is I think given different. That is the issue. Okay, we will see that in next coming classes. Fine, guys. One sec. Yeah. Yeah. No.
So, good morning, guys. This is Pallavi from Web Online. So, today I'm here to get a feedback from you people regarding a trainer. I'm already posted that link in a broadcast. Please check everyone. And weekly basis, we're going to take this feedback for the purpose of improve your online class, to improve your online class, and your feedback is very precious to us. Please make it fast, guys. Here only, and I don't want to waste your time much. If any feedback, if you want to give us, you can give it through your feedback link, feedback form, and we will work on that. And today there is no requirement. Tomorrow I'll bring with the requirement, guys. Okay. I have not received. Okay. Can you please refresh your page on Shubham? Can you please? Guys, done. A counselor ne put ABC or 1 2 3 something. Abhishek put ABC or 1 2 3 something. Any either. Guys, that's what I'm telling. Today there is no requirement. Tomorrow I'll bring with the requirement Anjaneyulu. Yeah, others done. Is others done? Okay. So yeah, so if it is not possible now, guys, please do it later. But make sure it should be done because I'm already told that. So to improvise your classes only, online class, and is useful for you only. Okay, yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. You can leave the class, and tomorrow I'll bring with requirement. Okay. Thank you, guys.